hero. The others are all dead, aren't they? That's alright, because I was going to have them killed anyway. I am going to be Empress.
What will history tell us? That the daughter of a murdered empress ascended the throne up a mountain of corpses, carried by an assassin named Corvo? No. They'll say that...
What happened to you, Arkane Studios? You guys used to make such great games like Prey, some were even classics like Dishonored 1 and 2. Arkane was always that studio that just knew how to make addicting and fun gameplay. Sometimes they even managed to write really deep stories with relatable characters. But something's changed internally within their studios because the quality of games that they've been releasing for the past couple of years now have drastically gone downhill. In my opinion, this downhill trend started with the release of Wolfenstein New Blood, which was a travesty of a video game and a spit on the face to the Wolfenstein fanbase. And since New Blood, Arkane just hasn't been the same, releasing Deathloop afterwards, which was admittedly a pretty good game, but it still couldn't hold a candle to Dishonored. And now after all these years of mismanagement and poor leadership under Microsoft Game Studios, they've released their biggest commercial and critical failure yet, Redfall. The writing was on the wall when the gameplay trailers were first revealed. This game just failed to impress the mass audience with its boring gameplay, basic art style, and uninspired mission design. It also didn't help that the gameplay from IGN looked like someone gave their 3-year-old little brother the controller to play the game.
What the hell? Oh my god, no way,
But even without IGN's horrible gameplay showcase, Redfall still looked a little undercooked in the gameplay reveals, and with only a few months away from release, it was not looking so good for Redfall. Nevertheless, we still foolishly had hope that this game would turn out alright, and lo and behold, Redfall is an absolute dumpster fire. Who would have guessed? It's sad too because I was rooting for Redfall to be at least decently good despite the technical issues, but no, the problems with this game are baked into the very foundation of the game. Even if the bugs and technical issues were fixed, this game would still be a mediocre experience. And I know you're probably wondering, why in God's green earth would you ever purposely buy this game? Well, my dear viewers, I did it for science. I wanted to dive deep into the shitter myself so I can give my honest, unbiased thoughts on this game for the benefit of mankind. And because I thought it would make for good content. So in this detailed review of Redfall, I'm gonna go over every shortcoming and questionable design decision in this game and why Redfall just shouldn't have been released. Now, going into this game, I did try to keep an open mind about it. When I saw all the reviews trashing Redfall, I thought, this game can't be that bad, can it? Well, it can, and it was that bad. There is a boatload of things that Redfall does horribly, and I really tried to find something good about it. I was scraping the bottom of the barrel here. So let's talk about everything that the game does well. The load times are fast, but that's due to the game world always being loaded in because this game is always online for some reason. What else? The skill tree is okay. Some of the perks here do add some extra properties to your skills that change the way you play the game. Like adding a heal over time to my teleport ability that made it go from never used to spam off cooldown. So that's pretty cool. And that's all I can really think of. Like I said, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here to look for something that this game does well. I'm looking between the couch cushions for some spare change, and all I found was 2 pennies and a stick of bubblegum. That's how I feel trying to find something good about Redfall. Anyway, that's it for what's good. Now it's time to go over the mediocre, the bad, and the downright horrendous. The first thing I want to talk about is the technical issues of Redfall. And oh my god, this game runs horribly on PC. When the developers announced that this game would be capped at 30 FPS, that was a huge red flag that was going to have some major performance issues. And unfortunately, they still have not fixed it 2 weeks after launch. There's constant stuttering every 3 seconds, freezing every other minute because this game has to keep rendering the lifeless open world, and just occasional random frame drops. I'm surprised that I haven't had any crashes with the way this game ran, but I shouldn't be expecting that from a $70 AAA game. And I damn well should not be expecting to run into the insane amount of bugs and glitches that this game has. I ran into so many bugs during my 10-hour playthrough of the game that if I listed them all out, we would be here forever. So for the sake of time, I'm just gonna show a few examples of the bugs. Like here, the models of the staking animation aren't aligned, so it looks like I'm stabbing the air while the vampire dies a horrible death. The health bars of the enemies disappear for no reason at all. You're supposed to be able to see the enemy health bars the whole time, but for some reason they just all of a sudden disappear. And I had to play like this for most of the game, which was really annoying. The siphon attack from the siphoners are completely fucking broken. For this attack, the vampire will suck you, and what you're supposed to do is break line of sight by hiding behind something, which would be fine if it worked. I died to this attack so many times from this boss because I would hide behind something when they started sucking me, but the game didn't register the line of sight as being broken, so I would still get sucked even though I'm behind a wall, leading me to inevitably die. This is the most broken attack in the game. Thankfully though, not many vampires have this ability, so I didn't have to experience it that much. And I can't mention bugs without mentioning the god-awful AI, which half the time I don't even know if it's bugged or they're just plain stupid. Probably a bit of both. Like, look at this AI. This is the quality of AAA video games in 2023, guys. There's a whole lot more minor bugs and glitches that I haven't even mentioned here, but for the sake of time and my sanity, I'm not going to go through all of them because there's just too many. Also, there were just a lot of minor annoyances that made me question the design choices of the devs. Like, the pause menu doesn't pause the game in single player. Why? When you complete a quest, there's this big pop-up notification that covers a third of your screen and you have to hold the close button in order to close it, which was really annoying because they would sometimes come up during combat and cover up a big chunk of my screen while I'm fighting for my life here. Like, why does it need to be this big? Can't you make it less invasive? Get this shit off my screen, I'm trying to fight here. These little minor annoyances and lack of quality of life just make this whole game feel like a low quality product, yet they still want full price for it. This is just terrible. Now usually I'm not much of a stickler for art style and graphics. If the game looks good, then it looks good. And usually most AAA games released now do look good graphically. Except for this game. Redfall has got to be the ugliest game I've played in a while. From the graphic fidelity to the art direction, all looks so hideous. The textures are muddy and low resolution, the blood looks like tomato soup, and the character models are monstrosities. Like, look at this, the hair isn't even properly modeled onto this NPC. You can clearly see his head clipping through. I'm not sure which is supposed to be scarier, the vampires or these abominations. And not only are the NPCs ugly as hell, but I counted how many enemy types there are in this game, and there are only 8 enemy types for the entire game. 1 human type and 7 vampire types. And I'm not counting the different factions of humans because they're all the same human model, just reskinned. This is the most pitiful collection of enemies I have seen in a AAA video game. Not only that, but almost every NPC is a reused model of some sort. Like for the safe house missions where you have to go kill the underboss of that area, but it turns out the boss is just a normal vampire with a name. Really? And they also do it for these god-awful backstory segments where they all use the same blue skeleton model to represent all of the characters. And the cutscenes are just higher budget PowerPoint presentations. You see, before each mission, there are these little cutscenes giving you context to what you're doing. The thing is though, these cutscenes are literally just panning shots of static characters with a voiceover. They didn't bother animating the characters speaking with each other, and this just comes off as Arkane and Bethesda trying to cut costs while still charging the same amount of money. This feels more like an indie game with how many reused assets there are and how low budget everything feels. Did Arkane even get funding for this game? They obviously didn't get enough time to make this game, but I mean, it also looks like they didn't get enough money either. So what the hell is going on over there? The story of Redfall is a joke at best and depressing at worst. I'm not sure what they were trying to go for here, but none of it worked. From what I can surmise from the poorly pieced together plotline is that the story of Redfall takes place on the island of Redfall. You play as one of the 4 generic main characters who are traveling to Redfall when all of a sudden their boat gets destroyed because the cultists are doing a ritual to summon vampires or something. This ritual puts the whole island into a stasis, I guess? So now it's up to us to investigate the island and put a stop to the vampires killing people and stuff. The story is really more just of an afterthought. I don't think the devs really put that much effort into it because nothing here is really pieced together coherently. After you've set up the mission table, you can take on some of the branching quest lines in any order you want. I can see where they were trying to go with this concept, but it just didn't pan out here because none of the quest lines make sense or are interesting in any way, shape, or form. Like, they're trying to have 3 different storylines for each of the vampire bosses, but each of the stories are so bare bones and devoid of any life that I just really could not care any less about any of the characters or the plot itself. The problem with this method of storytelling is that since the player can choose to jump to any storyline at any time, there's no real cohesion to anything. It kinda feels like you're just running around doing random shit until you find the boss. None of the quest lines are related to each other in any way and they don't even acknowledge what you do. They're just throwaway quests meant to pad out playtime. Not only that, but all the characters are bland cardboard cutouts with no real personality to them. There is no cast of characters because your character doesn't talk to any of them, and they don't even do anything for the plot. All they do is just give you boring and mundane fetch quests. The villains of the story are all forgettable and their backstories are told in these really boring dialogue segments where you just have to stand there and watch 2 static blue skeletons talking to each other. Like, if the developers had to resort to telling the story like this, then they really must have not had much funding. But I mean, the story is the least of this game's worries, and that's not really saying much considering how much worse everything else is. There isn't really much to say about the open world of Redfall. It's bland, lifeless, and soulless. I don't know why developers keep trying to make games open world where they have absolutely no business being open world. Like, both maps in this game are completely empty. There is nothing to do in them. No points of interest, no interesting secrets to find, no unique interactions, and everything looks the same. What's the point of making an open world game if you don't put anything interesting in it? There are often times where I'll be running from point A to point B in these massively empty areas with very minimal enemy encounters. And the enemies you do encounter are all the same generic humans or vampires. The only reason why I even did go out and explore this barren wasteland is because the uninspired quest designs told me to do so. Some of these quests are so bafflingly terrible because most of them can be completed in less than 5 minutes. Like this quest where I had to find the missing doctor because he goes to his father's grave even though there are vampires out and about, so you're tasked with the job of finding him there. When you do get there, it turns out the doctor died to a vampire who turned out to be his own father. Oh no, who could have foreseen this? Anyways, you gotta kill the vampire and after you kill it, you complete the mission. I looked through the footage and timed this quest, and it literally took me 1 minute and 47 seconds to complete it. From the second I accepted it to the moment the quest was completed, including the cutscenes and the time it took to travel there, and it was completed in less than 2 minutes. Not only that, but there are only 24 main quests in this game that all take up about 10 minutes each to complete. It took me 10 hours to beat this whole game and all of its side quests, which is very short considering that this game is an RPG. Which, I mean, I guess it's a blessing in disguise because playing this game was just excruciating. There are also these vampire nests sprinkled around the world, which are these sort of procedurally generated dungeons with stronger vampires and random affixes on the map. These nests were cool the first couple of times I did them, but they quickly wore out their welcome after the 5th or 6th time because you'll soon realize that it uses the same 3 layouts interchangeably. Not only that, but they mostly consist of normal vampires, there's no boss at the end of them, and the loot is dog shit. So after a couple of nests, they start to become really repetitive and annoying to do. Way to ruin the one potentially good content that you had here, Arkane. Now the worst aspect of this game is by far the gameplay. The gameplay of Redfall turns this game from a mediocre experience to a dreadful one. There is so much wrong here that I don't even know where to begin. I guess the first thing I should talk about is how the combat is really boring. Shooting the guns just feels so sluggish. The fire rate for most of the guns are so low for no reason. It feels like I'm firing 1 bullet per second, while the vampires are zipping and teleporting all around me. And none of the guns feel satisfying to shoot. It doesn't feel like the guns have any weight to them because the enemies don't react to being shot. So it feels like you're shooting target practice dummies until they fall over dead. And I can't talk about the gunplay without talking about the guns themselves. These guns here are about as interesting as a 10-hour documentary on Yarn. First of all, why did this game have to be a looter shooter? The gun variety in this game is laughably non-existent. There are a total of 17 guns in this game, 3 pistols, 3 shotguns, 4 assault rifles, 2 snipers, 2 flare guns, 1 UV light gun, and 2 stake launchers. That means you will be seeing the same guns over and over and over again. You want to use a sniper rifle? Well, you only got 2 options to choose from. But hey, if it's a looter shooter, then the legendary guns should be interesting, right? Wrong, the legendary guns are just as bland as the regular ones. There are only 11 legendary guns in this game, each with special effects on them, but only 2 have a unique effect. The rest of them all have the same copy and pasted effects. And there are no legendary snipers, flare guns, UV guns, or stake launchers. Did they run out of time? Could they not have thought of at least 1 legendary for these guns? The point of a looter shooter is so that you wouldn't feel like you're using the same guns. So much for weapon diversity. But the low weapon amount is only a symptom of the bigger problem here, which is that the game's loot system is embarrassingly bland and generic. It's just the same white to orange loot system that we've seen in every other looter shooter since Borderlands, except it's not done nearly as well as Borderlands or any other game for that matter, and it just ends up being unnecessary fluff for this game. Oh wow, I found the same gun but in purple this time. So exciting! Like I mentioned earlier, this game is a looter shooter RPG in the same vein as Destiny and Borderlands, except with none of the personality or quality. And like every looter shooter, you can choose one of the 4 forgettable characters to play, each with their own unique set of skills to best fit your playstyle. And they're kind of decent. They all have unique abilities that are kind of fun to use, and they all come with their own almost decent skill trees. There are some perks in the tree that genuinely change the way you play the game, but unfortunately a lot of the perks in the tree are still just fluff, like the ones that just lazily increase your numbers. This skill tree would have been just as effective if they pruned about half of the perks in it to have more quality over quantity. It also sucks that you can't respec your points, so if you want to change your build, then too bad, the developers forgot about it. The character abilities are also really boring as well. I chose Devinder as my character, and his abilities are a lightning javelin, a teleporter, and a UV light pole. Although these abilities are useful, they don't really look cool or feel fun to use. They need to be a lot more flashier because they're just not interesting at all. And the enemies you fight in Redfall are some of the most unfun, uninspired, and unintelligent enemies I have played against in a while. Like I mentioned earlier, the AI is butt fucking stupid. I've seen sacks of potatoes display more intelligence to these human enemies. They'll just stand still out in the open while they try to shoot at you with the aim of a 3-year-old child. They will literally run past you without shooting because for some reason the developers didn't make them capable of moving while shooting. That's right, they have to stand still in order to shoot. This is a 2023 AAA game and we're incapable of making enemies move and shoot. Like, come on, we figured this out 2 decades ago. Why is a basic function like that missing in this day and age? Did they expect that nobody would notice this? This is actually depressing at this point, not to mention that all the factions of humans are functionally the same with a different coat of paint. And the vampires, oh my god, the vampires are so goddamn annoying. There are only 7 vampire types in this game, and none of them are fun to fight. Let's go down the list here. The normal vampires are the grunts that just run at you indefinitely. They're not particularly hard, they just zigzag around and teleport a lot, making them really annoying to shoot. Also, they can sometimes swarm you and overwhelm you with more numbers. The siphons are the vampires that suck you, and their suck attack is really buggy and will sometimes still kill you through walls. The watchers are pretty much useless, they don't fight at all, and their entire purpose is to alert nearby vampires of your presence, which is pointless because 99% of the time you're gonna fight them anyway. The blood bags have very little visual clarity because the range of their explosion is a lot higher than what you visually see. So a lot of the time, I would take damage from an invisible explosion even though I'm a good distance away from them. The Shroud is a really tanky ranged enemy that inflicts a nearsighted debuff on you. They're really obnoxious to kill because every 2 seconds they will teleport away from you and throw 1 projectile, then teleport away again. The anglers are actually not that bad. They just turn invisible and sometimes hook you. And lastly, there's the Rook, which are these mini-boss vampires that spawn during a Rook Storm, which is triggered through normal gameplay. The Rooks are excruciatingly annoying to fight because, like I said, they spawn during a Rook Storm, which you cannot control and you can't fast travel during. So if you don't want to fight them, then too fucking bad. They hit like a truck, they have a nearly undodgeable charge attack, and they're pretty much immune to crowd control. The best way of fighting them is to kite them around walls and obstacles because their AI is so stupid. You guys remember when the people were clowning on the guy who was playing the game in the IGN gameplay demo? Some people were questioning why he was fighting a rook inside the house, and well, it turns out that that's unironically the best way to fight them. Look, I'm not defending the guy's gameplay because it still looked like someone's grandma trying to use a computer for the first time, but he was onto something here. Anyway, the only sort of silver lining with these rooks is that they're guaranteed to drop a legendary weapon when you kill them. But like I said earlier, legendaries aren't really that special. So I talked about all the special vampires, now let's talk about the bosses in this game. There are a grand total of 4 bosses in this game. Yes, 4. And there are all these long drawn out fights with multiple ad phases. These bosses are awful. They have a small move pool, their hitboxes on their attacks are huge, and they have way too many invulnerability phases. The bosses themselves don't even change movesets after each phase. They'll do the exact same attacks at the end of the fight as they were in the beginning. Arkane really just tried to squeeze as much time out of the players by adding multiple immunity phases so that the players wouldn't be able to kill their bosses in less than a minute. And not only are they really boring to fight, but they only drop 1 piece of loot, and that's because it's a scripted piece of loot. They don't drop any guns at all. What kind of fucking looter shooter doesn't have bosses that drop loot? Like, this is the most fundamental shit you have to do for a game in this genre, and they still failed at that. And I haven't even mentioned the final boss fight, which is easily the most lackluster and disappointing fight in the game. There are no phases, there are no movesets or attack patterns, there is no boss fight. You don't even shoot the boss. The entire time you just fight ads, then once you killed all of them, you destroy their 3 heart things, then that's the entire fight. What the actual fuck is this? The devs were clearly running out of time, so they cobbled together this lazy shit and called it a boss fight. This has gotta be a joke at this point, because they cannot seriously expect this to be worth $70. I would still feel ripped off if this game were free. Let's just wrap up this review. Playing this game was exhausting to say the least. Redfall is definitely one of the worst titles I have played this year. It's generic, buggy, and lazy, yet they are still charging $70 to $100 for this game. Now, I don't think this is Arkane's fault entirely. I think they were dealt a bad hand by the executives over at Microsoft Game Studios and Bethesda, yet they still try to make do with a losing hand. In a way, I feel sorry for the developers. They clearly have passion for making video games, and they know how to make good ones, but it seems like they were out of their element here. And like my father used to tell me, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I'm not mad I wasted $70 in this game, I'm just disappointed. Hopefully Arkane can use this feedback to reevaluate their approach so they can go back to making great games again. And if you made it this far into the video, thank you. I hope you at least found it entertaining to watch me suffer through playing this game, because I definitely did. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more reviews in the future. See ya.